Hello, I'm Alan Kinney, Editorial Director with REIT.com. Joining me today for the very first ever NAREIT videocast is Jeremy Banoff, Senior Managing Director with FPL Associates. We're going to talk a little bit about the latest edition of the NAREIT Compensation Survey. Jeremy, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. Hopefully
Great.
this goes well for you.
Yeah, great. Thanks. Yeah, it's you're our first run here, so we'll see how this goes. So let's talk a little bit, first of all, just in general. What are the big observations about REIT's hiring practices based on the results of the compensation survey this year?
Well, great question. So, keep in mind when we did the compensation survey, it was a little bit earlier in the year, and at the time, people were quite optimistic. And that's been a similar trend that we've seen in the last few years of the NAREIT compensation survey, actually, with close to 60% of folks at the time anticipating to hire between 1 and 10% overall, and only 15% of respondents had indicated a decrease in headcount. That said, in a real-time snapshot, just given some of the work that we do, and a lot of it's in the boardroom with many REITs, is that there's somewhat of a pause button being pushed with a lot of the uncertainty around the economy. I think that started a month or so ago, given the government shutdown. Now, the Obamacare rollout, et cetera. So things might be a little bit on the pause right now, but that being said, things are still pretty healthy, generally speaking here.
How about some of the hot button issues? Last year it was say on pay. What are we looking at this year?
Well, SAM pay continues to be a hot button issue, particularly from a compensation committee perspective, as well as broader boardroom perspective, that is. And so you are seeing, a finer level of examination into compensation program structures. Probably the biggest thing that you're seeing from that side on a pure compensation perspective is more of a focus on multi-year performance, goals that stretch out more than just a single year performance, and those can be tricky given, some of the lack of visibility in the marketplace. And so therefore, we're actually spending a lot more time with REIT boards going through longer-term strategy and making sure then that the compensation program aligns with that. The other big topic certainly is right on up there is succession planning. This year, as well as probably last year too, you've seen a renewed focus, and for a lot of folks, actually a first-time focus on this at the C-suite level, but actually, interestingly enough, at the next generation level, kind of going down your senior management tier there as well. So I'd say succession planning has certainly gained, and SAM pay continues to be a topic.
All right. So what are some areas where you feel like REITs are performing particularly well based on the survey?
Well, REITs have done quite well in terms of their pay and performance alignment, as it's known in the industry, when you measure compensation. A large part of that has been given due to the outperformance that the REITs have experienced. So it's been well documented. You go on REIT.com as an example, and you can see all the statistics out there in terms of emerging from the financial crisis. REITs have outperformed every sector. It's been continuous, double-digit returns more or less. There's only 1 year of a single-digit return. And so up until last year, that's helped with the fact that, while we found it, and others have seen this too, that compensation paid most recently for last year, which is just a snapshot in time, was at an all-time high. But it's justified because of the performance that's overall occurred. Now, this year is interesting because 2013, while REITs are still, positive overall, they are trailing now the broader industries. And now you see, third quarter earnings have already been released for a lot of companies, and guidance has come lower for the first time. And so you're seeing some challenges there. And I think this will be the first test to see how well pay and performance alignment really is aligned here going forward, just given some of the bumps in the road that 2013 has brought here.
Kind of finishing up here. How about challenges? What are some of the challenges out there for REITs?
Well, challenges are interesting. I think that when you look at SAM pay overall, that's a lot how people are judged. Again, we're talking about compensation, that is. The vast majority of the industry is doing quite well. And actually, when you compare the REIT industry to other industries out there in the broader Russell Index 3000, those that are getting a very high vote, meaning more than 90% of vote for, is a much larger percentage of the industry than you're finding elsewhere. That said, some of those that didn't do so well were amongst the worst offenders of SAM pay. And that's kind of a challenge because the few that didn't perform well it has taken a larger notice overall. That said, I think one of the other challenges is going to be still succession planning. It's a difficult topic to have. I mean, I see this in the boardroom firsthand all the time, and we're going through this regularly, not just from a compensation perspective, but just overall broader organizational structure perspective. And so I think that's something that is a challenge. This industry really hasn't had to face it too much on a large scale. It's been mostly smaller pockets, but I think that's something that we'll see here as well too. So, but overall, things are generally pretty positive still, I would say.
All right. Well, Jeremy, you survived our very first effort here. So thank you so much for your time and for coming on with us.
Great. Well, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
And thank you all for joining us too. For REIT.com, I'm Alan Kenny.